Every state, every community has some process by which you can ultimately remove your criminal convictions under the right circumstances. That's a promise that we've made, but we've failed to deliver because there's so many barriers that are involved in that process.
We have this system that has existed for many, many years that is really costly, that is really hard, that has a lot of steps, and that it doesn't need to be that way.
For 3 years I tried, and the process was so complicated. Went to multiple courthouses, I got turned away. You don't have the right documents. You have to get these certificate of eligibility. You have to pay this fee for this fee, and if you don't do it in this amount of time, then that's expired and you have to start over, which happened to me multiple times.
If we know who's eligible to clear their criminal records, if we have the tools, we can shift that burden from the individual to the government and just help people to move on.
The thing that appealed to us about the Clean Slate initiative is it's something we could do. You could identify the obstacles, there was a start and a finish line to it, and there was a clear outcome.
It delivers on the promise that we make to our citizens that if you do something wrong and you pay your debt to society, then we're going to welcome you back into our community. Otherwise, they're left with that conviction, which can have huge collateral impacts on their lives in just imaginable ways.
And once a person gets their life together, you either go through a program or if it's incarceration, at any rate, you get your life together. Now it's time to get back on track, and now it's time to get employment. Some of the employers haven't forgotten about what you've done in your past. There's a box on that application that says, hey, have you committed any crimes, any misdemeanors, any felonies? And of course, you've gotten your life together and you have to check yes on that box.
When I applied for an apartment just by myself after I had been working and sober and doing well, I got turned away 6 times and spent hundreds of dollars on application fees. So there was a housing barrier. And so I'm constantly reliving this trauma of like, hey, yeah, you're trying to change, but you're never going to be anything different.
In addition to it being good for the economy and good for business, it's good for people, good for individuals, and what a great combination of those two things.
When you consider the cost to society on something that we all agreed should happen, that's when it went from being a good idea to being a morally right idea.
My advice to other states would be to start early and bring everyone to the table.
As soon as we got into the discussion of the details, it started to make sense to me, and I was able to see that this is something that law enforcement would want to be a part of.
I think what the Salt Lake Chamber brought to the table, and the advice that I would give to any of my counterparts, is number one, that you are bringing the heft of the business community to this important issue, and number two, we were actually able to actively be a participant in the lobbying effort and the education effort on Capitol Hill.
We knew who the stakeholders were that needed to be at the table to figure this out, and they were stakeholders who were committed to making sure that our criminal justice resources were focused on keeping our community safe.
And I think people saw in this not a Republican or a Democrat issue, but a simple issue that balances justice and compassion, and in the long run benefits not only those previous offenders, but the entire community that they live in.
If we can get rid of these little low-lying fruit to allow someone to get a job, allow someone to get housing, allow someone to be successful in life, then why wouldn't we do that?
We're talking about people who've paid their debt to society, who've proven that the past is the past and they've moved beyond it and they're better now. I mean, isn't that the hope we have for each one of us?
So that's why these bills are so important, because it is the ultimate delivery of justice for everybody. We win as a community. Victims win because they know somebody's been held accountable and paid their debt to society. And offenders win because we reintegrate them back as productive members of our communities who are welcome back and are contributing to the success that we have.
When you look at what will happen when suddenly we take that off and we lift it from them and say, you know what, fresh start, your turn, go see what you can do. That's going to be magical.
I remember getting a letter in the mail saying everything has been dismissed, your case has been expunged, and what it meant for me is that, you know, some of those jobs in the past that I wouldn't attempt to fill out that application for because I knew in the back of my mind I would have to check that box that said, you know, I had some misdemeanors, I had some felonies, and I had a criminal background. Now, you know, I have the confidence that, hey, you know what, if I am qualified for the job, then I'm gonna go and try and pursue it and try and get that job. So that's what it meant for me.
Getting my criminal record expunged felt like being free for the first time in my life. I felt like I was gonna be seen as a normal person. I didn't feel like I was gonna be shamed. I didn't have this dark past following me around anymore. And so not having that anymore, that was the final thing to say. You did it. We're proud of you. And there was nothing better than that.